Hello there, I'm Kate in a Nest and welcome to my channel. Thanks for joining me this afternoon as we do some of my favourite things, which is to play with scraps and bits of beautiful things that we've rescued or thrifted. So I'm home after quite a couple of busy weeks and I'm in the midst of preparing for a workshop tomorrow, and I've been sorting things and coming across all sorts of treasures, as I tend to call them. And I thought, okay, Kate, give yourself a break and sit down and stitch something. But I'm not quite sure what I want to stitch. So I thought I would tell you some things that I have going on at the moment. And one of them will just go doo-doo-doo-doo. That's what you should be working more on. So I've nearly finished my Wellington nest. It's been adorned and adorned. I feel like, well, that will come to Perth with me. I feel like I'd like to make another fabric bowl. My heart says that this one's a bit tall. It's great because I can tuck things into it. But the beauty about these textile and fabric vessels is you can make them up and change them as you go along. So I've got that on the boil. I love my mini makes with Scrappy Bits, and these pieces come in so handy, and I'm down to only a few of those because I've cut them up on other projects. So you might remember that this is my big pouch that also continues to emerge. So you saw me start this Scrappy Bit and it turned into a feature on the Wellington pouch. Pretty happy with that. And tomorrow actually I'm doing a pouch workshop at Green Door, so that's what I've been doing, assembling quite a number of my pouches together to take as examples, so that people can see, feel them, not in order to create the same because we're all unique, but just so that, I feel that slow stitching is about just getting the needle and different bits of fabric under your needle. If you've been watching me for a while, I have been trying in the background to make some blocks for another quilt, and no matter how hard I try, it's just not coming together. So I've got this here. So I have a little birdie, I've got some flowers, I've got some embroideries, I've got a cross stitch, and I have this excess fabric. And because this has already got blanket on it, it's the perfect inspiration actually. So already I'm thinking that could be either a scrappy bit or some sort of pin cushion. The only bit that's stitched down is there. And so let's just so it's playtime. Why don't I just get rid of purpose and say, let's play with the little bits on my table. So now I've got that. I'd separate that and that. As we get things out, I'll take my birdie plate away. So I've got that one underneath. I've got this as potentially a piece of blanket with fabric on it. Some of my beautiful Indian silk. What's left over is this piece. And I don't think it was the composition that was working there. So let's just harvest yet again. So I'm dropping the words. So let's take the attention off me and change it to you. Hopefully it's a happy weekend by the time you're watching this. Certainly it's Saturday afternoon here. I've at least 3 huge days of work this week. A lot of time spent in my car. And you know me, I don't mind traveling as long as I'm the passenger. So it's all these hours where if only I was not driving, I could have been stitching. But totally no complaints, having a lovely time with that. And as I said, weekend day today, sorting my nest out. It's my husband's birthday, and the biggest present I said to him that I could give him, and I have, is to clear the living room of all my fabric and bits that I spread out before we went to Wellington. And I came home and walked in. I don't know about you, but I love going away and coming home, because then it just gives me fresh eyes, and things that I've lived with before I just can't stand anymore, and it becomes obvious that what has to be changed. So that's where I am. So I put all the stuff that was out down to the nest, and I'm determined that the nest is going to hold everything. That's right, you're hearing it first. This room. Okay, so it's already helping me get an idea of what I'm doing. I was talking about the quilt blocks that weren't working. Last night I fiddled around. This is the basic block. And I want to make some, been inspired by Fleur. She makes her works in this sort of rectangle shape. So I've done a little bit of patchwork on here. This is a vintage bedspread, and this is organic cotton from India that I brought back. I've used this quilt top in so many pieces, and you'll be saying that's very bright, Kate. Doesn't matter, I just am playing. So if you like, these are all Scrappy Bits, 3 different scraps there. These 3 long ones have been machine stitched, and what I've done so far is just use wool to sort of count them in place and try not to get them too bunched. It truly is stitching where the needle takes me. I did have some messages with the girls a little while earlier in the day, and I said, can you believe that it was this time last week we were in the Upper Hutt in New Zealand, in Wellington. I don't know whether that's a region or the suburb. My Kiwi friends will tell me more about that. Okay, so let's make something new out of something that was already existing. So, for example, I can see that bird and the layers maybe living on here. This is very light, this background in this particular spot. So sometimes it's just a composition that doesn't completely, that's very yellow, isn't it? I do like it. I turned it over so it wasn't that bright, but it's still, oh, this was what I was thinking last night. I had this tapestry because I felt the colours went. Now that I look at these, I like the shape, but they're not quite right. So can we make some sort of garden? Yellow is going to be, why don't we turn it around? nope. Do you know, it's too not right. So even halving it helps. I don't know where I'm going with these colours. Anyway, I've held those all in my hand and they're not particularly working on that background. So we will keep on flitting through. They could be like butterflies' wings. See how the colour is better with that piece than with this? Okay, let's just keep stacking up. I've got this from an earlier work. And there's another little scrappy bit under there. So we're harvesting. Got that bit. I love this cut work, but I do not think that goes with this piece, so I'm really just doing I'm doing patchwork, collage. And the more and more I think about it, I love patchwork, I love collage, and almost accidentally that's turning into my favorite thing. Okay, I started this in Wellington and I've looked at it since I've come home and the proportions are wrong. This beautiful blanket, too good to waste, as are all these bits. So that piece that I've adored embellishing is coming back into the mix. This is the bag. I'm really bearing everything, aren't I? I'm really showing what's not working as well as things in progress. I want to do something with that. I love the frill, but we're going to put that to the side. I've got some other, so let's make a pile of these bigger. You might remember me doing that a little while ago. That is not the right spot for that beautiful little doily that I got somewhere. I will leave that like that. It's a bit of Beck's fabric that I bought from her, from another maker's hands. It is, could it have been the same piece that I made my very most favorite horsewhip of? Girls, this is working a treat. You can see it's all floppy. I'm not even bothering to tie it now because it goes wherever I am. In the car, in the house. It went to Canberra last week. All right, pile there, pile there. Let's get stitching. Remember the other ages ago I was looking for my good morning. Okay, I want to start on this little thing here. Haven't got any bigger bits of blanket around me. was looking at this pin cushion. Do we need a square pin cushion in our lives? Not really. What could I do with this? It's really the creative process in action. Okay, I'm going to cut this bit off. Blanket and all. And then make it 2 little scrappy bits. A little bit like that, a little bit like that. There's smaller bits. Big bit. More and more I'm standing up these days to look at all lose the beauty of that. So that tells me that needs to be on a, what I'm accidentally doing is, have you seen Betsy pouch? It is so beautiful, but I went on to buy one and it was sold out. So I think in my head I can't get over the idea of patchwork, not patchwork, cross stitch rows. In fact, could this be? Stay with me. Okay, let's make new fabric out of the bits that we have. So I'm going to trim that over there. Okay, I'm imagining that that could be the other side. We need, it's not in proportion. I'm just going to get another bit of blanket. This is a bit of kiwi blanket. just let the material and the resources talk to us. So now I'm just going to, because I want to use that blanket stitch, look where I've come back to my happy place, a pouch. This is pretty wonky blanket because it's been washed or steamed, but for the process of what we're doing, it is perfect. And I could leave that orange show. And I'm using lots of pins. I mean, the question is, do I really want to cover up that star? I don't think so. But if I look at the other side, so do you do this? Just a display. No, probably I'm just very fortunate that now I'm at the point where it doesn't matter if it goes wrong. It will end up being something, and if I don't like this something that it is, it will get changed into something else, as you've just seen. At least we can say it's not boring. Some of you will be hanging on going, Kate, what are you doing? I think that is too bulky. So let's, but see, even by going through the process of putting these bits down, I come up with new bits that I wouldn't consciously have put together. So that's going there. I'm trying to work both sides at the same time. Did I tell you it was very, very humid? I haven't cut that straight, which is no surprise. It just means it's a bit wonky over here. What else have I got? That's an idea. It may not stay like it is. Over this side. Sort of trying to get a little bit of a colorway going now. So if I put that scrappy bit there, I like the movement of those flowers. I think I got them from a Beck kit as well. Yep, that could join up there. You will have seen combinations where you're going, no, 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 or stop, 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 Kate. And I would love to be listening to you, but I just can't hear you. So I'm on my own, but why I'm continuing to do this is just show you no, it's just too strong. That's what the problem is. I don't usually wear stripes. Oh, no. Isn't that funny? I don't usually use stripes. So that's my challenge with that one. And there are just too many of them and too bold. So let's put that there for now. This is going to wait for another day. What's stopping that there is it's almost half, and I like to use just 2/3 of the proportion. That belongs better on this side. I just know how lucky I am to have that big square. And seeing I'm a big star, so seeing I'm mostly covering it over, what if we change tack and say that Scrappy Bit could go there. We've got all this space now for a garden to start. I could go across there. There we are, and this is for a bigger piece in all its glory. So those of you who didn't want me to use that, I did get the message. On here the blue is could balance there, but I don't feel like that. Look at this beautiful cross stitch. I'll use that somewhere else. I've got the bird. I think the bird, I've been trying to put birds on a pouch. For ages. Let's take these little bits now that this is becoming part of a bigger piece. Or maybe. Liking that, I'm liking that. I adore this. I might go on a bigger piece. I've still got this left, despite me raving on about so one way is to let's put that there. Or maybe not at all. So this is pretty plain, but that's waiting for a flower or a feature. Probably bigger than that. Oh, they're looking, I think I have to separate them. They're looking a bit crazy. No, not a triangle. Got beautiful laces down here, waiting to be used. Crochet, I mean. Okay, there we are. I've spent half an hour with you, just going through a creative process that I didn't intend to go through, but I hope that, I suppose I'll just say this, people at my workshops often say that they have come from a background where everything has to be perfect, and I can see how wonderful designers, composers, stitchers they are, and I go, you don't need to stop what you're doing, just keep doing that. But they say that there's something within them that they want to try to be freer. And when I set them free with a bundle of my little bits and pieces of scraps, suddenly they go quiet, and I wonder if they're okay, and before my eyes, incredible beauty emerges. So, if nothing else, by watching this, you go, I've got that piece of fabric, or I've always been trying to think of a place or give something a go with scraps. There's no right or wrong, and as you've just seen, I've started and I've remade multiple times already in this video. But I'm thinking garden, I'm thinking flower to flower, and I'm looking at some sense of colorway. That's all I'm doing at this point. When I was chatting, I found that rose that looks forlorn there, but maybe if I joined her in there. So I would be, after this, I will put some of these pieces down. And so just saying the word flower to flower, it refocuses my attention on what colour I have got the flowers. I didn't intend to be orangey, but that's where I've ended up.